So like I said, we want to work on the uppercut swing. I'll explain to you why we want to do that, because when we're doing our snatches, okay, we want to make sure that our arm isn't straight the whole time, because if our arm is straight the whole time and we come up overhead, that's going to be one of the ways that you really bang your wrist, okay? That's for two reasons. Number one, doing it with a stiff arm doesn't give you any space to manipulate the kettlebell, but also a big part of finishing the snatch is having that bent elbow so you can punch at the end. And the cues you hear all the time with the snatch, sometimes you'll hear people say stab the sky, or sometimes you'll hear people say punch. But either way, as the kettlebell gets up here with that bent elbow, you want to make sure that you can punch through it at the end. And that's going to allow your hand to move faster than the kettlebell, which means that instead of the kettlebell coming and moving around your hand's moving through the kettlebell, which is going to help prevent that banging. It's also just going to make it much easier on your shoulder. So once again, that uppercut swing that we want to work on is just getting up to that. If you can get up here, you've really already done all the work at the end of the snatch. So just ensure that people have their uppercut swing on both sides, and that means at the top, your elbow's bent a little bit. If you've got that, you're there, okay? Everything else is easy after that, because all you have to do is you just have to punch really quick. And if you can get up here and then punch and get your timing right, your hand will come through. You'll have this nice, strong stack position at the top because you've done that punch into stack joints, and you'll be good to go. So let's try a few, okay? So again, I've got that uppercut swing and punch, uppercut swing and punch, uppercut swing and punch, uppercut swing and punch. So you can see that as I'm coming along here, my elbow still has a bend in it, you know, thinking about that uppercut swing. And as my elbow is sort of passing somewhere around my face, my mouth, I punch, and that's how I get into my snatch position. So I think a lot of your clients will actually get it quite quickly. At first it's a bit scary, but if you do it aggressively and with confidence, then you really don't have to worry about the bang much at all. So uppercut swing, punch to snatch, great, you've got your snatch. Now what? Well, we're not going to do the cycling immediately because we want to make sure that people have the confidence from there. So once people get their snatch, we're going to have them pull back into the rack position and cast back into the kettlebell swing, because one of the scariest things about the snatch is when you've got this weight overhead, what do you do with it? And you don't want to do that straight arm down, because then that could wrench your back. You don't want the kettlebell to be far away from you. So first I'll show you the safety cast, and then I'll show you how to cycle it together. So the safety cast is going to be, once you get it overhead, we're going to pull to rack and then receive in the swing. So I'll go ahead and snatch it up. Okay, I've got it up there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull to my front rack, okay, and then cast down, okay? You can go right from there into your next snatch if you want to. You can cycle that together. You're not going to have quite as much power because you're not going to have that same elastic energy. But while people are first getting their snatches, that's what we want to do. So we'll do a few of those, and then I'll show you what the cycling looks like. So punch, pull, swing, punch, pull, swing, punch, pull, swing. That'll give people the confidence so they can get some repetitions in on their snatches, going back and forth both sides. Once people feel comfortable with that, and what we'll use for the workout is going to be your cycle style. So in this one, instead of pulling in, I want you to think about throwing the kettlebell into your belly button. The reason I'm saying throw it into your belly button is because when you bring it down, I want you to think about throwing it towards you, like you're almost trying to punch yourself in the stomach, except instead of punching yourself in the stomach, you come and you receive it back in that kettlebell swing position. You don't want to think about throwing it away, because if you think about throwing it away, you're going to do that straight arm thing. So if I'm up here and I just let it drop with my straight arm, that's when we can wrench our back. That's when we put a lot of pressure, especially in a lumbar spine. So instead, I'm going to think about punching myself in the stomach. Other cues you might hear is people might talk about pouring an empty jug of milk, and then just following it down. Sometimes people will just say up here, just bend your wrist forward and then follow the kettlebell down. Some people will talk about thinking about a zipper. So from here, you just want to zip it down. And the last thing is if you think about the crawl stroke, some people will say that if you think about the crawl stroke, if you're swimming, bringing it back down towards your center line. These are different cues for the same thing. All of them is get the kettlebell back towards your center line, close to you, and not throwing it away. All right, so try a few. From here, I'm gonna think about punching myself in the stomach, back up. Okay,